Hi, my name is Rama Chakaki and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at aiXplain. So where can you explore and deploy new pipelines across AI language providers? I'm here to talk to you about the story of aiXplain, which was founded by Hassan Sawaf, who had the vision of building an online community in a place where nothing could stand between you and the power of AI. When he worked at Amazon and eBay and others, he envisioned this place that could be built where both suppliers and customers and specialists of AI can all come together and be able to further the entire industry. So who do we serve today on aiXplain? Media companies in media and entertainment, e-commerce companies, and consumer tech businesses. When a customer comes to our online community, after signing up, they can discover AI models that are pre-built. They can benchmark those models against others that are on the network. They can build AI solutions or deploy their solutions and models for their own use and for others in the community to use if they choose that. So these customers come to this community and discover the models that are pre-built, of which there are 28,000 today on the network. We are constantly onboarding suppliers. Today we are at 30 plus, and more suppliers are coming on board, and they share the benefit of benchmarking their models with the customers. So the customers can benchmark the supplier models, as can the suppliers themselves, to see how they're scoring against some of their counterparts in the industry and improve the overall performance of their models. And last but not least, specialists join, whether they are scientists or data specialists and others, who assist customers in creating and deploying those models using some of our tools on the network. Today, we're focused on human language technology, speech, natural language processing, and a visitor can come, or a member can join and view 28,000 language models for translation, text-to-text, speech recognition, and speech synthesis. We could also benchmark, and there are various scores to benchmark with, or metrics rather, and you can benchmark across different languages. We're focused right now on machine translation benchmarking and moving quickly into the speech recognition. What I would like to show you is two brief demos, one of discovering and doing a light version of the benchmark of translation models, and next editing a pipeline by adding and swapping out speech synthesis models. So let's say I am a customer and I'm looking for speech synthesis to be used on my platforms. I can create a pipeline, deploy it, and then if I wanted to in real time swap providers and check what other providers are like. Let's start with the first, to discover and benchmark translation models on aiXplain.
Welcome to another episode of aiXplain, using Discover to find and benchmark AI models. Discover allows you to use natural language input to browse, test, and benchmark MT models from an ever-expanding selection of providers. In this demo, I'm going to focus on an Arabic to English translation workflow. We can see here that there are currently 4 providers at different price points to choose from. We can click on the information icon to review a model in more detail. In this case, we can see that the provider of this model is Google, at a cost of 20 credits per million characters. I could enable this model from here, but first I'd like to run a benchmark to determine which provider might be the best fit for my use case. I'm going to select one model from each of the pricing tiers for comparison. You'll notice that our benchmarking function and language pairs are pre-populated from our initial search. All I need to do is provide an Arabic data sample and then run my benchmark. You'll notice that benchmarking times can vary depending on the characteristics of the specific models selected. And here we go. I can now see comparison samples of our translated text, as well as a range of scores from a selection of popular machine translation evaluation models. In this case, I'm going to focus on class scores, where higher scores are better, and I'm looking to find the best price-performance option available. This looks like the perfect model match for my purposes, so I'm going to enable it in my account. You'll notice a heads-up display here that our model has been saved in the dashboard. And there it is. Okay, let's click the setting gear icon in our model preview pane to view our usability features. Here you'll find your model endpoint, a URL where the model can be accessed, and an access key, an API key to authenticate your model access. There are also Java and Python code snippets that can be integrated into any of your custom applications. As a member, you'll have full access to all of these features and more. Visit Explain to begin your own AI discovery. Welcome to another episode.
So that was a sample of how you can discover and do a light version of benchmark on aiXplain.com. The other benefit that some of our suppliers and customers can enjoy is a much more detailed custom-made report with commentary and evaluation from the AI scientists on the team. Now next I want to demo how you edit a pipeline by adding and swapping speech synthesis models.
Welcome to another episode of Explain, creating intermediate level pipelines using design. Okay, we could start by creating a new pipeline in design, but I'd like to edit the translation pipeline we created in a previous episode. This will allow us to cover both intermediate pipeline design and pipeline modification in a single demo. So let's go to the dashboard, and I'm going to open our Azure Arabic to English translation pipeline in edit mode by clicking on Open in Designer. Alright, so we were previously working with a text-to-text translation workflow using Azure for our Arabic to English translations. But now I have an audio flow I'd like my pipeline to work with. So I'm going to add a new function to convert our translation pipeline to text-to-speech. To do this, we're going to need a speech synthesis function. And I'd like the output language to remain English. Now we just need to choose a voice, and I'm going to grab the first one in the list here for our test. I'll click Use to assign to our node. So as this is a new element, we're going to need to also edit our pipeline flow. Let's delete this existing link so that we can define a new workflow. Okay, our input to translation link is still valid, so I'm going to create a new element linking our translation and speech synthesis nodes and select the source. Now to complete our pipeline, I'll link our speech module to our output. And you'll notice that the builder is presenting us with an incompatibility error. This is because the flow of the pipeline we're editing was originally designed with a text-to-text logic. And now that we're editing it to become a text-to-speech pipeline, the original output code is no longer valid. So we need to change our output mode. It's quite possible that without this intelligent feedback, our pipeline would have simply just failed to produce a result, erroring out whenever we tried to run it. But now that it's correct, let's give it a try. I'll use that same Arabic text sample that we've been working with. As I hit run, keep in mind that the pipeline we've just created is coordinating with 3 separate AI suppliers to achieve our desired results. Pretty cool for a couple of minutes worth of coding. And here's the result. So let's see how it sounds.
The Saudi Football Federation announced the launch of the first version of the Saudi Women's Football League.
Okay, well the translation is still great, but I think I'd like to edit this voice. And I have something interesting in mind. Our team has been working on a customized branded voice, so let's populate this model and have a quick listen to how hip-hop artist Omar Effendim might read this. So we'll run our test with these new pipeline parameters.
The Saudi Football Federation announced the launch of the first version of the Saudi Women's Football League.
Nice, that's pretty cool. And one of the best things about editing your designs is that none of your access points will need to be updated. You can continue to use the same endpoint and access keys that were established with the creation of the original pipeline. So if you ever decide to add some custom code of your own, or find it necessary to make a few edits to your existing pipelines, the downstream associations will continue to have access to them without any additional coding. As a member, you'll have full access to these features and more. Visit aiXplain.com to begin customizing your AI pipelines today.
So there you have it. We saw how a customer on aiXplain can discover, benchmark, edit a pipeline, and deploy it, all without putting a single line of code and in partnership with all of the AI language providers that we have on the network. Thank you.